Mesh.
All right. I'd like to call the Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority meeting to order. If we could have a roll call, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Engel. Here. Guevara. Here. Najah.
Here.
Raphael.
Here.
West.
Here.
And Chair Waska.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Okay, and then the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move 8A1, the Economic Impact Study Task 1, under New Business 7A, to accommodate discussion before some members may have to leave. Guilty.
Any discussion on that?
Do you have a second, Mr. Chair?
Oh, do we have a second on that?
Second.
There we go. Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. That adjustment has been made. The next on the agenda is approval of the February 3rd, 2026 minutes. They're included in your packet if you had a chance to take a look at those. Any additions, deletions, comments? If not, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, 5, approval of invoices. We have none. Public communication. Brian, do we have any written?
None, Mr. Chair.
No written communication. Anybody online? We have no one in the audience.
Nobody's online.
Nobody's online. Okay, very good. Then we will move to what we just moved, the Economic Impact Study Task 1. I'm going to ask Lisa if she wouldn't mind. I attended the Douglas last council meeting, and Lisa did an excellent job of
Thank you.
explaining this and bringing the subject to forefront. So do you mind?
No, not at all. Thank you. Through the chair. So good evening, everyone. Tongue tied. So what I did is, I know there's a lot of different thought process around this, especially with our council, on people who have been serving in the past, present. We have a different mixture of individuals who have, like Jeff has background in, the housing background, sales, what the economic benefits of the harbor, and things like that. So what I did is basically decided to take and put together a survey for our council and ask them to either fill out the survey based on what, Vetter is offering, and or give me some sort of email, and Sue and Jeff were on these emails as well. Or Sue as well, Jeff of course was. And all 7 council members did return either the survey or they gave me their thought process, what they were thinking via email. So I'll just tell you exactly what happened. The meeting on March 16th, as Dick said, I provided the council with background information on the proposal related to the Kalamazoo Lake Economic and Fiscal Benefit Study. To better understand council's desired direction, I developed and distributed the survey along with collecting additional feedback. The responses were compiled and organized into a rubric to identify key themes, priorities, and areas of alignment. And so I did summarize those below, and I did provide a memo to the group. Basically, just to cut through the chase, I did a pretty long PowerPoint presentation. And there was a lot of repetitive information, but I wanted to make sure that council at the end understood what they were committing to. So it was a lot of work, but it did prove to be very helpful, because I don't think this would have gotten through without their input. That's just my thought process. But I wanted them to look at it in a positive way, not that we're trying to just spend more money. We're trying to, bring relevance to the KLHA and do what we need to do to get all the communities working together. So basically, in a nutshell, council supports a phased approach to the study. They've agreed to fund task one only at this time. The city's share of task one appears to be $2,583.33, which council has approved either now or in the next budget. So whatever is decided, they'll spend the money now or they'll do it after June 30th. Here's the expectations were that council views task one as a critical first step to establish clarity and alignment among the participating communities. Specifically, task one is expected to define the mission and purpose of the KLHA, clarify the roles and responsibilities of the authority versus the individual communities, identify shared priorities amongst Douglas, Saugatuck, and the township, provide a clear framework to guide future decision-making. And key areas of interest that they all agreed to were navigation and dredging, harbor and marina infrastructure, regional coordination, long-term maintenance and capital planning, safety considerations related to harbor use. And then the conditions for future consideration from task two and beyond. They expect no additional phases will be authorized unless the following occurs: the completion of task one with a clear and actionable deliverable, a formal presentation report to all participating communities, demonstrated alignment among the three jurisdictions, and clear justification for the scope, cost, and value of additional work. And then they'd be happy to review the findings of task one before making any determination regarding participation in task two or subsequent phases. So their overall approach is to be responsible stewards of public funds, ensure clarity of purpose before expanding the scope of work, confirm regional alignment prior to additional investment, and avoid undertaking a broader study without a clearly defined outcome. So they support the following: initiation of task one, coordination with the KLHA and partner communities during this phase, a formal report and presentation of findings upon completion. And then they will evaluate further participation. I think they came a long way. I'll let Sue and Jeff certainly, add on to this, but I do think they found value. I think that, you're in a position, unfortunately, this board, where years past, maybe things weren't exactly done or communicated or whatever it may be. That's the past. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to get into the future. We're trying to help this board to move forward and do some good things to help the tri-communities work together on these particular issues. So I was pleased to find that the council was supportive of this, cautiously, but supportive. So, anything to add?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more wholeheartedly. I think, like you first said, I don't know if it would have gone through without the task one being there and without the survey, which made everybody take a look at what they were opposed to and what they wanted to see. And it was pretty clear from the Douglas Council that everybody wanted to see action. There's a couple people that have been, as Lisa mentioned, have been around and seen things money went out before and nothing was done. Nobody agreed to work together on it. So everybody was pretty clear they wanted to see transparency, see the three communities agree on it, and start making moves.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any questions for me, but they just want this to be the foundation for future decision making, and I think that it's a doable task. I think that this company seems to have the right background to get us into the right direction. So I'm excited about it.
Great. Yeah, I think since we've gotten Greg to help us refocus on what the actual primary mission of the Harbor Authority is, and that's basically to keep the harbor navigable, safe, and clean. And this is a concrete way to start. Okay, refocusing us, that is our goal. How are we going to obtain that goal, and what are the steps going to be? And as I listened to the meeting in Douglas, there was skepticism because we've been down this path before, and for probably 20 years, and yet there's never been a really concrete plan, money set aside to handle these tasks that have to be handled. And I think Greg has done a wonderful job of getting us to refocus on that, and I really appreciate Douglas's desire to see that happen. I did talk to Daniel at the township level because I had asked him, had they presented to their board, where their feelings are. He said they have discussed it, that they're behind it. They have not voted on the money yet, but they said if we do vote to go ahead with that the township is behind that, and we'll fund their aspect. And Ryan, maybe you could speak to Saugatuck.
Yeah, our council had set, mitigating low water impacts as a priority for this year and next year. The council member Peterson has been keeping the council in the loop during her updates to the council and advised them that this was kind of a next step and part of the goals for the year. The council on Monday actually included some extra contractual services dollars in our kind of harbor department to account for the dollars. So at this point, we're good to go, assuming there's agreement from everyone to split that cost. So
Mhm.
as soon as we have that confirmation from the township, I mean, we've been kind of handling it with Greg since the city's kind of hosting right now. We've been paying the bills and then sending out, the township and Douglas portion, and then they've been reimbursing us for their portion. I would anticipate the city of Saugatuck probably signing off on the agreement, assuming that the township okays it. And then we'll get them paid for that first piece and then send out for reimbursement on that.
So what our next step for us tonight would be, is it something we need to vote on this evening, or that we as a authority would desire to proceed with task
Would
one?
be wise, yeah, to make a formal recommendation. I know Douglas is ahead of the game and already was, aware of that, but I think it would be helpful to have the harbor authorities formal weigh in on and recommendation request to, approve moving ahead with phase one and asking the municipalities to fund it.
Anyone care to make a motion to that end? Don't be shy.
I'm just not sure about the wording, but I move that we approve, moving forward with task one. Does that make sense?
If you want to, you can mount the total of 7,750, which was voted, so that's on,
That's what it is.
yeah,
Okay.
divided by the 3 communities.
All right, so your motion would be,
My motion is that we move forward with task one being 7,750 divided between the 3 communities being Douglas, Saugatuck, and Saugatuck Township.
we have a second?
A second.
Do we need a voice vote or just an all in favor? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Then that would be done. Thank you, everybody. I
Yep.
really appreciate where we're headed with this, and I think we're going to do some good things.
Curiosity, how long, and maybe I'm outspoken, but how long does phase one take? Did they say a timeline on that for? I'm excited. I really am.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like fresh blood to us, which we need this. I've been on the board for a long time and nothing really moves forward. So I'm really excited. I was just curious if they had kind of a timeline of when they think they might have phase one in place, or what does that look like?
He was looking for, hoping to have it complete, within 4 weeks.
Okay.
So, yep.
It's pretty timely. That's nice.
And those are their recommendations, you're saying, that in 4 weeks.
He was looking to have, the entire phase one as outlined can be, as long as he's able to get what he needs from us timely as far as interviews and the data, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, real good. Then I guess we will then proceed to the other items in new business. Is Greg with us tonight?
I don't know if he's the Zoom user that's on or that's,
It's a crapshoot.
Greg, are you out there?
Oh, sorry, it's Tim Straker.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. Item that I put on the agenda, just an FYI. You probably read about the nurdle spill.
Interesting.
And I didn't really think too much of it until I drove by and actually looked at, and it's a mess. If you look at the report that I included in your packet from Eagle, that there were 48,000 pounds of nurdles that were dumped. There were only 5,000 that were left in the trailer, so the rest of that 40,000 went all over the place. They've recovered 33,000 pounds, but there's still approximately 15,000 pounds of the stuff left. And it's basically, a nurdle is a rice-sized piece of plastic that they use for in industry to make other plastic items. It is in the river. There is no if, and, or buts about it. And so today, I received an update, and I think both, councils, you received the emails.
Yeah, I've read it.
From me going, this came out at 4 o'clock today. And basically saying that they're on it. They're analyzing what needs to be done. They realize there's things on the bottom of the river. They're going to send some people down there to see what extent it is and how they're going to go about cleaning it up. They do not suggest that the public goes and tries to help clean it up because of just possible contaminants in the river. So anyways, it's just good to know that they're on it and that they're going to give us weekly updates. So I'll keep saving those and pass along the information as we get it. So that's it for new business, unless anybody else has something to add at this point. No, okay. I like quick meetings. Okay, unfinished business. We're with goals for 2026. We already have discussed the economic impact study task, and it's going to help us really establish our goals for this year. Second was to establish a revenue stream. I don't think we're quite there at a place to say where we're going to find that revenue stream or how we're going to approach it. But hopefully once task one is done, that'll help us then say, okay, now where are we going to go to have that? Because Greg was saying that not only do we need to prepare for when eventually the Superfund gets to us to actually do the real serious dredging of the harbor, that we're going to have to do maintenance dredging that has to be done. And so some monies need to be set aside for that. Fortunately, we had a lot of snow and rain lately, so it seems the river's rising. So
Are there grants we should be looking at applying for?
that's one of the things that Greg is going to be helping us with, to identify what those are and how we should approach that.
Great.
So, and that's the next thing, proposed projects for waterways grant. Oh, the waterways grants, that's a DNR thing. Their deadline is going to be April 1st. So obviously we're not making that. But it's something for the communities to think about of what projects they would like to see funded on the river. And the DNR, I attended their meeting and they have some really great projects that they support. One of the things I had, because the township's representative, was the only thing the township had on the river right now is Hacklander's Landing. But we found out that because it's owned by the DNR, they can't grant themselves money to do the project. But I did meet with Ken Butler, who's the chairperson for the Parks and Rec Commission for the township. And he wanted to meet with Roland Hutchinson, who is the Allegan County DNR supervisor, who would be the one controlling Hacklanders. Met with him, really nice guy, and he really wants to move forward with improvements on Hacklanders. And he's a very practical man, and he suggested let's do this in increments because Ken Butler's idea was to, next to where the ramp into the river is, that to the right of that, there's an area that could be cleared for and dedicated to canoes, kayaks, and things. And then that way it wouldn't be interfering with all the fishermen who come in and out on that ramp. So he's said a first step, what they're going to do this spring. I just like the fact that he said, we're just going to do it. Is clean that whole area out, clean all the brush and whatnot out and see what kind of material is there from the river onto the bank. To see if just simply that is a good start where then kayaks and canoes could put in there. And then we were talking about getting community support to then make that a little more like a park-like area there. So it's not just an in and out for fishermen, but also to groom an area with lawn, picnic tables, benches, and things. And so those are things we can think about. Maybe just a nice fundraiser thing we could do as a community to support adding those amenities. So once the DNR has done the cleanup there, then we'll be able to see what the next steps are. So I thought that's nice. We're getting something done.
Did you say when they were gonna start that?
This spring.
This spring.
This spring, yeah, when we met, there was snow on the ground, so.
So now.
Till now, and maybe tomorrow, who knows?
Again, oh, finish.
So, okay, we can work, down to, committee reports. I don't think we have any active committees at this point in time. No. So that takes us to manager's report. Lisa?
Yeah, thank you. We had a Harbor Authority meeting, Douglas Harbor Authority meeting last week, which Jeff and Sue are also members of. It was quite an interesting discussion. A lot of things are happening. There are some positives, some challenges. Union Street boat launch, that is getting an upgrade. We're replacing the dock. We're going to be replacing a lot of that, the launch area and things like that. So that was budgeted by the council last year. We're still gonna have to adjust the boat sizes that can launch from there. We're gonna have to keep that in place because it really has taken a beating over time, even though we're gonna strengthen it. The other thing is that we don't own, the city owns Union down to the water. We don't own the parking area. It's a shared area. And we're getting kind of pushed out further and further and further. And so we are going to have some issues with being able to park trucks and boats there, or trucks and trailers. And we already do have some issues, so we're going to just kind of see what we can do. But if it gets super limited, and there's going to be a safety concern because there's so much traffic going into the Safe Harbor, there's so much traffic going into Red Dock, it's a mess down there. Not to mention, when you get up to Blue Star Highway, you have a bike path, you have a turning lane. We've had people hit because
Pedestrian crossing.
pedestrian, yeah, there's been people hit, there's been, boats coming through and bikers going over those boat trailers, and it's just a nightmare. So we're having to really look at some challenges on that intersection, and with Safe Harbor wanting to, expand as well. If they were to do that and be successful, we're gonna have to look at another entrance for them a little further down because it's just a mess right now. And it's just, growth can be fun, but growth can be challenging, right? And that's one that I'm trying to get the city to realize. Even with the new city hall, we're discussing, that whole crossing at Wiley Road and Blue Star Highway. We're doing that very early right now before the fire department gets in there. We're trying to do all those things early to plan, doing traffic studies, and it's going to be crazy once 200 Blue Star is developed, once Wiley Road has development. There's an event, Isabel's going to be an event place. I mean, it's going to be so difficult, more than it is right now for us who live in the burbs down there, right? So, so we have a lot of challenges, but this is one where I probably would have, if I had been here 4 or 5 years ago, would have, looked at Union Street a little bit closer, and tried to figure out if there was a way to start, traffic calming or something, because it's getting out of control. Douglas Marina, we are just in the last little bit of getting permits. We got through Eagle to build the pavilion down at the marina. So that was a consumer's grant of $100,000. And then we had a donation of another $100,000 to help with that too. So yeah, that was great. Our neighbors down there were really want to make sure it looks good. And so that was helpful. So we can see that one moving along. We have brand new Schultz and Union Street boat launch passes. We did stickers like our buddies over in Saugatuck with Owl Beach. We decided to do stickers instead of trying to continue to have people fill out a form, put it in their window because they were coming back. It blew out. I lost it. The dog ate it. So now we have stickers in the window and everybody gets two. So Jenny did a great job with that. We also got, updates on the harbor projects. There's not a lot to report, but there's potential development on Washington Street down by the water. There's also, Safe Harbors talking about development. We're going to be starting our veterans fishing deck. We're going to be placing that down by Veterans Park, which is right down from the bridge off of Washington. If you'll recall, there's a big section where a lot of people fish. So we got a donation of materials and money, and we're going to get volunteers to help us put together a veterans deck. So it'll be dedicated to veterans and they can fish there, and maybe I'll pull them a little bit away from the marina and stop throwing, hooks at the boats. So that'll help.
Time frame of when that's gonna occur?
We're trying to do it probably in May, so I will let you know, because we could use all the volunteers
Yeah.
that we can get. And I think it'll be a very cool project.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of veterans that do sit down there and they do put their chairs on that edge. but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
A little bit afraid about the sturdiness and the things in the ground. So it's we walk by each other all the time with dogs, so it's a nice area. One thing that I do want to point out, and I know it's a little long, but if you've walked that boardwalk on the water, it's filthy in that area because the water's gone out, all the garbage has come in. So I'm working with the staff to figure out if we can get some kind of volunteer effort, even though that's kind of that dock, it's usable, but it's owned by Swing Bridge. But if we can get some people who have the right boots and the right, they want to go and do some cleanup, which I would do. It stinks down there though, but I've fallen off the dock with my dog before.
Just don't let the swans get you.
Oh, I've had that,
Yeah.
yeah. My dog fell off the dock. He was sniffing and he went right over.
Oh, boy.
And went right into that, and he smelled
Oh.
for 2 weeks. I couldn't get that smell out of him. Yeah, we had to, like, he wouldn't let me lift him, and he's 98 pounds,
Oh.
so we had to walk that whole line
Oh,
in the water, in the muck, with dead swans,
oh,
turtles,
yeah.
snappers,
Snake.
everything, snakes. Yeah, it was awful. But I want to try to get a group down there to clean up. The city will haul everything away, dispose of it if we can get the volunteers, but it is really nasty down there right now. It's gonna take a special stomach. And then harbor treatment, we're gonna still go through Ryan. Jenny and Ryan and I stay in touch Jenny from the city. That seems to be working well. And so we're gonna continue. We'll start putting our notices out here soon. But I think the dual effort between us has really done a good job with cleaning up the harbor. We just need a little bit more water, right? That would help. But all the boaters have said it's a lot better. We just need more water, but all of the invasive things are starting to go away and we don't want to stop. The last thing I just wanted to say was, one thing that I think we need to keep in mind as we're starting to figure out funding opportunities. Ryan and I both get these congressional requests, for funding, not congressional, more Senate. Congressional, he doesn't support, our congressional member doesn't support spending money. So we get our US senators' offices that send us applications every year. It takes a little while to get the money, but it's something to keep in mind because I think that they would invest highly in some of this, especially if it's 3 communities in one district, pushing for something like that. So we're going to be a little late this year, but I think moving forward, they do put congressional spending out there every year. And I think it would be something that we should keep on the radar because you can get some nice funds from that. Also state community benefit grants. Joey Andrews right now is also has been putting out grants. That's where I got the 1.4 million for lead line funding for the city of Douglas. It was a direct budget line item. So I think we should keep in mind that there are funds out there. And we do have some members that are willing to go to bat for us. So I just wanted to put that out there. We're, just as an option moving forward. So I think that's it. I don't know if I have anything else.
I think you covered it.
A lot.
It is. Oh, and we are making a move to try again to see if the state will work with us so we can acquire Schultz Marina. So as a backup. So that was something the city was pursuing about 5 or 6 years ago. It fell off the radar, but the state is really talking about it. There are some things some hoops we have to jump through, but they're not insurmountable. I think it's high time that the city owns the park and the marina. So that'd be a really nice benefit. So we can start doing some work down there and making it more of a public benefit for everybody and access to water and clean it up the way we want to.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
It's a lot.
It is. We've been busy.
Douglas is
In a mouthful.
Right.
Yes.
Brian?
Yeah, I'll maybe pick up where Lisa kind of left off with their encouragement of going after some funding through our US Senator's office and making some of those congressional spending item requests. I don't remember receiving this in the past. I think this year we received a clear, request from, Senator Slotkin's staff to say, hey, if you have a request, get it in. Like I said, we're late in the process to get in for this year, but I did actually forward that to Greg, and I think I copied the chair on it as well,
Good.
and just kind of noted, hey, Greg, like, we're not gonna get in this year, but maybe once, we get an economic impact study across the finish line, we're gonna probably be in a position to have a compelling story to start making to our US Senator and their staff like I said, may not be the first time, may not be the second time, but the more we can invite staff out, tell our story, keep putting our request in. I think, we'll have to start now and it'll probably take many years of requests, but I think especially with us working collaboratively on this, I think it's a key piece of this puzzle that we're going to have to go after to make it work. So totally agree with Lisa's comments on that. So each year the Army Corps checks depths for the area of the channel that they're responsible for dredging. So kind of the Pierhead area up to about Coral Gables. So I took a look today because I hadn't seen, I didn't see any data for last year. So it looks like they did do checked some depths back in September. So I printed this out just to kind of, give you an idea of where that's at. It's just kind of a reminder, the Army Corps aims to do maintenance dredging every 3 to 4 years. It was a couple years ago that they last did the last set. So it'll probably be another year or so before maybe we're back in the funding line to see some again, and obviously it'll be dependent on needs. But any areas that you see in red are kind of below the project depth, and as you can see, it's in certain areas kind of getting a little interesting. Even being out from a year or two out from maybe planned dredging. So something that obviously we'll all want to keep an eye on. You'll remember a couple of years ago, actually, it wasn't necessarily kind of they didn't necessarily have funds set aside to dredge our area as they normally did. It was kind of more of an emergency request. I was like, hey, like there's a need and we're gonna have an issue this summer. And luckily, folks in Washington were able to jump on that and find some funds and make that happen. So I just wanted to pass that along. I can pass along the PDF copies too if you want to really zoom into specific spots. I mean, all of these colors are actually little numbers, so it's interesting to see.
When did you say this was done?
September.
Okay.
Yep. As far as the city goes, the shopper docks that were kind of damaged at the end of last season are now repaired, so those should be good to go for this season. Our transient boat slips at the end of Griffith needed some new pilings in certain areas, and there was an old dock that was covered up by a newer dock. The old dock's been removed, so some of that's been cleaned up and refreshed. The concrete repairs to some boardwalk areas that I touched on last month is still on schedule to be completed. That work will start next month, may go into May. But all of that is on track. On Monday, the city council approved another agreement with the Star of Saugatuck to continue kind of assisting us with the Spear Street boat launch and handling day passes and collecting those funds and making their restrooms available to the folks that are utilizing that launch. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Union launch and the parking challenges, because one of the issues we've had is that our revenues from the Spear Street launch, particularly after COVID, really fell off, and we've been talking about why is that, and one of the thoughts was that, well, man, there's more parking over at Union Street and the other boat launches, and maybe that isn't the case. So that's really interesting data to have. So so we gotta keep at that one, and part of it's an honor system too, right? So we count on folks to make sure that they're paying that launch fee. So I wanted to mention 640 Water Street as a planned unit development project right along the waterfront. The reason I raised that with you is that as part of the project and some of the give and take with some particularly setback requirements of the project, in exchange for that, they're proposing to provide a strip of public access to the water. In the entirety of the property, it would actually be accessed from 650 Water Street, but all of that would essentially be in place in perpetuity. So kind of guaranteeing more future waterfront access is obviously important long-term for us. And to be able to kind of lock that piece in. Their project, just to give you a quick summary, is essentially kind of retail space on their first floor with probably some sort of commercial kitchen to serve an outdoor dining area on the riverside. And then 3 dwelling units on the second floor that are going to be probably short-term rentals. So kind of a mixed-use building there, but like I said, we have another nice formal area for folks to access the waterfront back there as well, which will be nice. So I think I hit all my notes here. Happy to answer any questions.
Brian, just from the manager to manager perspective, Holly asked a really good question. Like, when are we going to be able to, if we get this moving along, how long is this process going to take with better consulting and everything like that? What I was wondering is, so I have our, the city council feedback from the city. I'd be happy to share the survey if you want to see it and have it or use it just to expedite the process, because then I think maybe what we do is also share that with the board and see if and get a little jump start from that survey, because all it does is basically says, this is what this is going to do. What is each individual, what do you want to see happen? And I'm wondering if we can get a jump start with that by having, maybe the township, your council and then this board come together, and then I can throw it all into a data thing and do another presentation. And then we will be ahead of the game once Vetter's ready to go.
You're being proactive versus reactive.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Maybe I'll
thinking.
wait till next month. That's why I kind of asked. I'm like, is this like good next?
Yeah,
month?
yeah, exactly. Because I think that we don't want to be sitting here in a workshop or something like that going, you know what I mean? And so if we can, take everybody's feedback and then I can throw it together and then we can share and say, okay, we take it now to another level. And it might help jumpstart. And I'd be happy to work with you to do that and handle all the data, putting it all together.
Yeah.
I thought it was super
Sounds great.
helpful just to even be able to articulate for myself, what is it I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I had to do a little research and
Sure.
kind of find out what I want to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the first stop is finding out what you want,
Mm-hmm.
what you want to see out of it.
Yeah, it's not a very difficult survey, but it does, at least it got me to the point where I was able to figure out council was pretty much on the same, they were all on the same page. And so I think we're gonna probably find that a lot with
Sure.
this group and the township board and your council as well. They're probably on the same page with a lot of those
Yeah.
bullets. So I'd be happy to send it your way on the survey if you want to distribute it.
Yep.
And then when you all send them back to Ryan, he'll just give them to me and I will process everything.
I throw a timestamp on returning it too. That's me.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we want it for the next, I don't know the goal, but if we want it for next meeting, to give you an adequate time to digest it and get the results in.
Right. Yeah, I could do that.
That sounds great, and that'll give Better some good baseline data, and then they can just kind of focus on clarifying from there.
I'm a data dork, so I
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
that.
no, it's-
That'll be perfect. Right up my alley.
it.
I am. I love doing it.
And Ryan, will you get that to Daniel as well?
Yep.
So
Certainly.
Okay.
part of letting him know that we need them to take some action on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she gave us an hour. Don't worry, you have plenty of time to.
Yeah, it's okay.
Made the toddler
Just an hour.
I'll be able to do it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
But I
send
do
it to
like
you.
the timestamp because not saying that there's nobody that's gonna punctually like defer it, but then at least you have time to digest it, get it ready to go for the next meeting. You're not getting something in last minute from one of us.
And that does help. I mean, I did have to remind council a few times.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I kept saying, hey, your meeting's coming up. I need some time. And I needed time for the council to review it at their meeting on the 16th, or else there was no point in bringing this, forward. And I thought, we got to keep this conversation going. So it was something I think that may have helped, but it did set the table to get the jump start on all of that information, I think.
Which reminds me of something. One thing that a couple people at the Douglas City Council mentioned is you guys never meet often enough to get anything done.
Somebody did.
So we told them that we had agreed last time to meet more often. With that said, do we know when we're meeting next?
That will be, we usually wind that up at the end and figure
Okay.
out what that date's gonna be. Okay, since Daniel isn't here, oh, I'm sorry, were you done?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, just what I know of what's going on in the township. They have the Riverside Park project going and that should be starting
Soon.
any day now. And so they're going to make that trail there handicap accessible, and they're going to be putting a boardwalk over the wetlands and a fishing pier over there. So and they've got the funds to do it, so that's good. And then they also are in the process of purchasing, I don't remember how many acres it is, but it's quite a large piece of property on the south side of the river. That will be a whole another public place that'll be able to be opened up. So more to come on that. Okay, public comments. Don't see anybody in the audience. I do see that Tim Strecker is online. Do you have anything to say, Tim?
Hey, Dick, thank you. Just one thing. I really appreciate the work you guys do, and I'm super bummed that that room is not filled with people, or that the Zoom boxes are not filled, because the work you're doing is, like, to me, the number one thing around our economic strength across our three representatives for the committee. And I just really appreciate the work you guys do, especially as it relates to, what the future plan for dredging is. I'm really worried that we've let the last 5 or 6 years of high water cloud our judgment, that the bottom is rising just as fast as the surface has been rising. And when it goes down, we're just going to be in a world of hurt, and we're starting to get there. So thank you for the work you do, because I'm concerned and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, since there's no other public comments, authority member comments. We'll start at this end of the table and
No, it's just all been very informative and I'd love to read everything.
I'm good. Just ready to find out before I leave if we know when we're gonna meet next.
Okay, well,
We'll get to that.
We'll move along.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Going on?
I don't have anything to say other than thank you for showing up and making this happen.
Appreciate everybody that's worked hard on, city of Douglas and yeah, a lot of good legwork.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, high accolades. I'm excited. Like I said, we haven't had something like this in a while, and I'm really excited for the fresh air and the new vision and to find out what we're doing. So I look forward to the next meeting in phase 1.
Me too. Perfect. Good point.
I second all those things. Really excited that we are moving forward. I just had one little question that we're talking about Joey Andrews. Would it be good of us to maybe try to invite him to one of our coming meetings to let him know that we're kind of on this and looking for assistance?
I think we should do a little legwork first.
Okay,
Yeah, and so he can use his time wisely, because it's probably hard just with legislature normally on Tuesdays.
okay.
My recommendation would just be to maybe get some of this legwork done, and then he can be a part of the process as we start to develop that plan with Vetter.
Good.
And then I think that we get him involved from day one, and then he is, part of this whole movement going forward. That would be my recommendation. I may not get him back here very often.
Right. No, I think it would be good too. Also, we had talked about having the marinas getting a little more involved, and maybe we can figure out how we can approach the marinas saying, we want your input, we want your assistance as we go along.
Sure.
Okay.
Great idea.
Right, so next meeting date. Are we doing like 2-month periods? Like every 2 months, or are
Well,
we?
I mean, if we're not meeting often enough.
Right.
Well,
We were gonna do quarterly, and now,
Yeah.
so every other month would be.
What do you think it's gonna take for Lisa for all the questionnaire, the survey to get out and then compiled? I mean, can we do it in a month and then meet in another month and
There's
go
only
over everything?
3 of us. I mean, if we're timely. He's pretty smart and witty, so I would
Oh,
think.
I-
I mean, I'm just saying, like, in the off season, we're not here getting as much done.
Mm-hmm.
So just in my perspective, we can meet whenever, it's up to everybody's voice. But, if that's one thing that they're saying is we're not meeting often enough to get things done and be impactful. Maybe during the summer months, we meet a couple extra times because we're not meeting as often in the winter months.
Do we want to do an April meeting then at the end of April?
What about the end of April, early May?
Yeah, early May.
Early May? Anybody have a calendar in front of them?
I do.
Thank you.
Day, 28th.
Throw the 5th. Does that work for everybody?
Cinco de Mayo.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
We can all go have drinks after.
Hey, all right. On the 5th?
That work
Yeah,
for you?
Cinco de Mayo.
Ryan as a host, does that work for you?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Let me
then let's
make
plan
sure-
on it.
Let me make sure I don't have.
If you wait 2 months, then it kind of becomes a replica of like what we've done. And I know quarterly was fine, but it just seems like things get lost on the wayside and you lose your momentum. So I
Okay.
think at least if you're within 40 days or closer, it's a better benchmark.
6 o'clock, is that our usual?
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, so make that 6 o'clock.
And right, I think what we do is we give everybody, if we were to send it out, if you could get it out like, this week, if I get it to you tomorrow. I think we say by April 15th at the latest. Cause then that'll be, few weeks.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't take that for everybody to fill that out and put some information.
Yeah.
You know,
That'll probably line up well with, like, the township meets once a month, so they're. Daniel's aiming for the next meeting, get their sign off, then. He gets their sign off right around the same time the survey from, at least our membership is
Thanks,
done, and
Doc.
we can turn that right over to better to get started.
yeah, and then I can throw it to you and you can tweak it, adjust it as you need to, and then present it, and then that'll give us enough time, like you said, to get to that meeting on the 5th.
Good. All right.
So I'll make sure I get that to you ASAP.
And if there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and we're adjourned.
Thank you.
See, we didn't have to move them around.
You did good.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
please, when you don't, then you're like on pins and needles. It just always happens that way, where the conversation ends up going longer because it's productive. And so I've been fooled a few times.
You're the last Douglas meeting.